You're clearly an incredible champion of energy efficiency and clean energy. Yet you operate in a regulatory structure that, as we've talked about earlier today, is in much of the country at odds with that vision of the future. When you interact with your colleagues nationally, are you beginning to see an acceptance of the fact that the system is changing? Would it make a difference if we took the focus off coal as the generating source and focused on the things that we've been talking about? I don't think that they're any less tethered in Nebraska, or I don't want to pick on Nebraska, than they are on the East Coast. But any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think we see from the reaction to the president's announcement yesterday that the entire country isn't exactly where we are in New England. But, you know, I'm pretty optimistic that we can set an example. I mean, look at the example of Reggie in terms of its availability, or the model to help people meet the 111D requirements. I mean, working in the Northeast, especially Massachusetts, I'm always impressed by the sort of amount of collegiality and shared values that in this community, in the community of people who are working on energy issues. So, you know, I think we've made enormous progress in the Northeast in the last few years, and you know, I don't think we're there yet in the rest of the country. Obviously, the president did what he did because the Congress won't act, and in some ways that's representative of the rest of tells you something about the rest of the country. I don't think the rest of the country looks exactly the way we do, but I'm optimistic about its changing.
I think they will change eventually. Yeah, I was thinking maybe it would be like when the Gen Yers come on and come in, maybe they'll start to accept it as a different system, like they're driving a little bit less. All right, thank you, Ann. Scott, you mentioned the concept of energy justice, which I think is really important and easy to forget about. And we have some great examples in Rhode Island of the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative, where they're trying to integrate the cost savings from medical care with energy savings. But can you give us some examples of other programs where they've really tackled that issue head on and made some progress?
Well, in Washington, D.C., they really have tackled this first from a policy perspective, where their city council said that basically one out of every $3 has to go to support those with the least, which is a pretty amazing commitment. And they said that we happen to operate that initiative, we're held to green jobs creation with district residents and with the use of local contractors, so the money stays at home. When you start to nest those together, what you end up seeing happen across efficiency and renewables is that a whole culture and economy is created, including in Ward 7 and 8 in the District of Columbia. One of the things that's happened is brand new businesses, because you got to find district residents to actually work on this stuff. Brand new businesses were created with local owners in the most impoverished wards in that city. What a great path forward. And that's just one great example of how these externalities can grow all these new benefits for us.
Yeah, that is a good example. I was traveling with my husband recently, and something came on, probably CNN, and it was a video, probably from DC, of a bunch of high school kids from, I think they were high school kids, working on I don't know, it was just cool. It was an example, that kind of example. All right, anybody have anything to add to that? Not really.
Well, we have been at Northeast Utilities as part of expanding the energy efficiency, and I should put in a plug for our team here. We're very proud to be operating a $500 million program across the 3 states and achieving tremendous results. But we're doing that in partnership with some really great folks. And if we think about it, in Massachusetts, Green Justice Coalition has been one of the folks that has helped us create just what you're talking about, Scott. These models that are neighborhood-based, leveraging local organizations for outreach and for actually doing the work, so we're training on skills in the local community. And they're tremendously successful, but even more important, there's these other benefits that we never calculate, right? Where we established in Massachusetts requirements for contractors that ensured that they had good, fair wage jobs, that they had benefits associated with those jobs, that they had safety incorporated in there. And we had not had that before, and I congratulate, it's the partnerships that we're working collectively with that are creating not only energy efficiency expanding, but actually good and safe jobs out in the community.
All right, that makes sense. And actually, spinning off that, when you look at the the high school kids of the future. And what do you see as our most pressing training needs? I mean, I see it at all different levels, from the vocational level up through, we need more engineers. But say a few words about how we can best prepare the next generation of energy leaders. It's a little vague, but...
Well,
go ahead.
I think part of it is doing what we're doing in partnership with NEEP and helping at all levels reach out to the communities to help kids understand that energy is an exciting space to be in. The good news is that kids are thinking a lot about it today. My kids understand what I do now because they recognize the challenges when they don't have power. So they're completely understanding of the importance of energy savings and of ensuring that we have a reliable infrastructure. So I think there's an interest there, but we've got to invest in educational programs, and that's what I'm excited about. Energy efficiency allows us to do that, to where we are reaching K through high school with targeted programs that help reach children to understand the benefits of energy efficiency and the opportunities in this space. So we've got to continue to make it sexy, as I heard someone say, the sexy type of job, to have the cool thing to do.
Just like all of us, Sarah.
Yeah, of course.
I was going to add to that. I don't know if I'm on.
I think you are.
You kind of took the sexy word right out of my mouth, but that's when you kind of think about the evolution of data and tools in the market today, it's reaching a younger generation, right? We can now do analytics on iPhones and iPads, and it's kind of the energy efficiency of 10 years ago wasn't attractive to that kind of age group, right? I was just, at MIT the other day judging a contest, and it was somebody who was literally pitching a similar idea to what we're doing, but these kids are 18, right? Not that I'm that old, but it was just,
You're not.
I know. It's just the idea that it's now, the technology world mixing with efficiency is hitting a good place now to where it's driving a lot more interest across the board. So.
I think that's true.
Two points I would add is, first is, I'm not one that often likes all the above strategies, but honestly, this industry, I happen to be a civil engineer, and so STEM, of course, but we need an all of the above strategy. This industry is about transferable skills that figure out how to move people. So we need everybody with interest. I don't care if you're an arts person or an engineer or creative writer, we need you all. And the biggest gap I see in the industry today, though, to get very down the weeds, is we've made some advances in bringing more women into this industry, but if you look around our industry, we are a pretty white industry. And as we think about kids, we have got to widen our net and bring all peoples into interest in energy. Look around this room, folks, and most anybody that does this work, and we're pretty white. And if we really want to get to the sort of goals that we've talked about here today, we have to be a topic that covers across all spectrums, and that means all schools, not some.
That's touche. Good point. All right, I have another question for you, Bennett. I'm wondering, you're working very successfully in New York City. Have you had any experience or interaction with the Green Bank, and do you see some potential to connect the high-tech work you're doing with the high-tech financial work that New York is pursuing?
It's a good question. So today, no, we're not doing anything specifically with the Green Bank. But when you think about kind of the idea of putting a large amount of money into the market, right, it all starts with data, and it all starts with insights, and being able to understand the buildings in your portfolio and where the opportunities are and where the projects are. And you can imagine a world where you have that perfect information, you have the financing, you have the products, you have the service providers, and you pull them all together. The whole market operates much more effectively than it is today, right? So there's a really good opportunity to talk to them, and we probably should, but we're not as of today.
We'll see them tomorrow. We can mention it.
There you go.
That's always a bit. Do we have any questions from the audience? I guess I will pose one more. Oh, good.
Way back
good.
there.
Back there.
Back in the corner.
Back there.
There's one over here as well.
Hi, this is Julie Michaels with NEEP, and I just wanted to share, first of all, great presentations, all very different, unique perspectives and some key points to share. And I think I jotted a few notes from your panel, but also some of the others today, about what are all the different things that we need to tackle and we need to look at. And it's everything from the big data, building analytics, education, marketing, messaging, the customer engagement piece, the integrated program design, funding mechanisms, and then what's the regulatory framework and the changes in that to accommodate, support all of those pieces and the innovation needed around that. Those are a lot of things. It's the chaos. It's the, we're all so busy as it is. We've got these goals. We've got this urgency now around the climate change issue. So what's the priority? What's the hardest to tackle? Where does it make sense to coordinate and learn from each other? And it's great to see this Advanced Energy Economy Forum and bringing together key stakeholders to really think about this. But my question to all of you is, as a region, you know, are there areas of priority? Are there areas for coordination so we're not reinventing the wheel in different states, sharing information? And again, you know, are we biting off more than we can chew, or are there certain areas we should be prioritizing, focusing on in the near term versus the midterm and so forth?
Well, I mean, at least speaking from the regulatory perspective, I think there's actually a remarkable amount of communication at the moment among regulators in the Northeast through NECPUC, NESCO, you know, lots of alphabets. But people really are, and now New York too, there's, given their REV project, there's a lot of conversation with them too. And so I think people really are trying to learn from each other through, you know, forums like this, Advanced Energy Economy, and then the events that folks like NECPUC pull together. I think there's a ton of conversation and also really shared objectives. I don't think people know exactly how to get there yet, but I think you know, everybody in New England on the regulatory side is talking about decarbonizing the electric grid and then electrifying building heating, transportation, and you know, we need to figure out how to get there. But I don't think. I mean, not everybody's, somebody asked me the other day, well, what's it like in Massachusetts? Is everyone singing Kumbaya? And no, but I think there's really a remarkable shared sense of direction.
Someone else want to take a crack at that?
Yeah, I would agree so, and I think that NEEP plays a vital role here. I mean, you created the EM&V Forum, which is a regional forum, which is starting to ground us with common ways that we measure the success of energy efficiency, and that's so important as we think even back to Jean's early comments today, moving away from NEBs to DEBs. This is the work that creates the conversation that allows us to get the direct energy and environmental benefits associated with energy efficiency. So I think NEEP plays a vital role in that, and I agree with Ann that we have an amazing amount of collaboration in the Northeast, and while we don't always disagree, we are respectful and have healthy discussion, and I think it gets us to a better endpoint.
Scott?
I'd add that, you know, so we are biting off more than we can chew, Julie, and if we're going to have a low-carbon future that supports humanity, we have no choice at this point. But as one example to build on Penni's, so we're all going to keep doing what we do at some level and change as all the structures push us, but there are challenges within it that we can all then tackle together by identifying them. And one I would use to build on the role of NEEP here is, so we got great energy efficiency programs. We haven't applied them very much to the grid deficiencies. And so first, how do we connect there? And then how do we bring ISO New England in? Because if we attack those deficiencies in Vermont, which we have we've gotten rid of $250 million worth of those shortcomings. We only get 4% of the benefit because of regional sharing. And we've done it anyway, but you all got 96% of $250 million. But a group like NEEP can actually convene us all together while we're doing everything we do so we can meet the promise of the future.
Yeah, great, very good. Great. I want to make sure we get to Bridget, I think, yeah, Bridget. I think that's Bridget.
Oh, okay. Thank you. My name is Bridget Ryan. I work with an initiative in Providence called Emerald Cities Providence. And Scott, I just want to thank you very much for bringing community to the forefront of this conversation. One of the cornerstones of Emerald City's mission is to create equity within our communities. And what Emerald Cities is trying to do is create career pathways for populations, our low-income and minority populations, and those that are most impacted by unemployment, and also the communities that are most impacted by our irresponsible use and generation of energy. And so I just want to reiterate your emphasis on us thinking about the greater community and not just those sitting in the room. And just want to bring up the point that even in our lowest income communities, those families don't love their children less than we love our children, and they care just as deeply about the future. They just are less empowered than we might be at this table. And so I urge everybody to have that kind of perspective as we continue conversations. I'd also would like invite anybody in this room to have a conversation with me. I am trying to create career pathways and skills development for the unemployed in Rhode Island. We deeply need job development here, and we need construction projects. I'm having trouble with financing, trying to finance deeper energy retrofits to create more meaningful jobs and stimulate the economy here in Rhode Island, but financing has been a huge key for me. So if anybody has any perspective on that, and anybody else in the crowd, I'll stay after. I'm looking for ideas, but truly trying to create equity within our communities and skill path development.
So I would say here, and congratulations. That's what happens when we keep 80 cents of every dollar in our economy on efficiency. We can take on those sites of community needs. On the finance side, I would say we've got to greatly expand, and there are a lot of initiatives of how we bring capital into the game, whether it's the Green Bank idea or it's something we're working on now, which is actually to pull in the program-related investment side from foundations who actually want some mission impact to get some of those dollars freed up, because they'll go for a longer duration at a lower interest rate, and then we can be the mechanism to port it to those hardest to serve areas of society. And that's another great way of how we can bring in capital that never thought to come into our space before. But it's an all-in strategy with every good idea we've got with social venture capital, PRI, defined benefit pension plans, and all the normal things we all think about every day.
All of the above. Terrific. That is terrific. Well, we're out of time now. I want you all to join me in thanking this incredible group of speakers.